take anything from the state. I think you said something like that. Do you remember that?
Yes.
Why would you say that?
I mean, how I felt at the moment. Somebody gonna kill me.
Okay. I want to go into a couple of areas. There's been a talk about Jeffrey's windshield of his vehicle being shot out with a bullet late 2014. Do you know what I'm talking about?
I remember hearing something about it. Yeah.
Say it one more time.
I remember hearing something about it.
Okay. Did that, to your knowledge, did Jeffrey, to your personal knowledge, was he worried about that windshield?
Not that I mean,
I can't.
Not that I know. No.
And did you tell that to the police?
I don't remember if I did.
Do you remember you personally seeing, or even doing that when people were around Jeffrey or in his home, they would steal from him? Is that true?
Objection, relevance, and speculation. Sustained.
How about this? You would steal from him at times.
No.
Kenneth Copeland would steal from him at times.
I don't know.
Okay. Do you know whether Mr. Garlington would steal from?
Your objection again for the same reason, relevance.
Do you remember?
Speculation. Sustained.
Do you remember telling the police that many people, including the people I just named, would steal from Jeffrey Williams?
I ain't never stolen from nobody. So.
Let's leave you out of it. Do you remember telling the police that other people would steal from you?
I don't remember, but I probably said.
Now, you had discussed with the prosecutor something like a tweet. I believe it was characterized by Miss Love, something to the effect of, we shoot at you and you call the police, you shoot at us and we don't. Something like that. I'm not quoting, but do you remember that question?
I remember the question.
Did you ever see a tweet like that involving Jeffrey?
No.
Did they ever show you a tweet like that involving Jeffrey?
No.
With regards to your tweet, and it is state's exhibit number, if we could put it up, Your Honor, it's already in evidence, and it is state's exhibit number, 1 second, 2 or 471Y, if you don't mind. There's going to be something displayed in a second. Yeah, it's one that says something. It's not 471. Don't say it's not. Cash money, mother.
Yes.
What's the situation?
I have a display, an exhibit that was introduced,
Right,
and I have that it says just beginning cash money, young
Without,
money.
the number he listed was 471.
472, right? 472 Y. That's what
Maybe.
you said?
I said 471.
Okay, I don't know. I thought I heard you say 472, but I don't know if that's
I don't know.
it or not. Anyway, there is a 471 also. That's an Instagram post. Both of those are in. Could you not find it?
We can't. That's what we're
Okay,
looking
well, that might be 47. Yeah, I
He's,
tendered one and it was admitted.
oh,
Your Honor, I apologize. It is 471Y. I was given the other part of it, so I apologize. If we could display 471Y.
Okay.
Thank you so much, and thank you. If you can look at this, I believe you were already asked about this. And I'm going to, you recognize this? It's already been in evidence?
Yes.
Okay. Do you see that?
Yes.
And do you remember being asked questions about this?
Yes.
And it says they can F with us if they want. We're gonna bring them homicide at 30 deep _D. You see that?
Yes.
Okay. And you told the jury, I believe, that this was part of a song. Is that true?
Lil Wayne.
Say it again.
Lil Wayne song.
And do you remember the song Mob by Lil Wayne?
I think it was on Carter 2 or Carter 1 on.
Okay. We're going to show you, let you listen to something quietly and tell us if this is the song you're referring to, okay?
Okay.
And Your Honor, this is going to be Mr. Williams number 264. Can Mr. Kokomo approach, Your Honor?
Yes.
Can Mr. Kokomo approach you?
Yes. Yeah, that's it.
Okay. And is that a Lil Wayne song?
Yes.
Your Honor, I move for the admission of Mr. Williams 264, and then specifically, once it's oriented, if it's admitted, play for the jury the track that the time that I'm going to announce.
and the state objects to the playing of this song to show that it has this line in it. We're not disputing that, so we object to that as relevant, on relevance grounds.
Okay, you're just saying that one
Yeah.
line. All right, it's submitted.
And Mr. Kokomo, before you play, just announce the time on the song, if you don't mind, that will be played for the jury. And Mrs. Zacher, just for clarity, this is Lil Wayne's song that you know to be on the Carter 2 or 1, you said,
Yes.
and the song is called The Mob.
Yes.
Okay. Mob, Miss Winfrey is MOBB. What? You know what number? 14 seconds. 14 seconds to 20 seconds. Your Honor, it's 14 seconds to 20 seconds.
Thank you.
If you can listen and just tell us if this mirrors the State's Exhibit 471Y, what you wrote, okay?
Young money, motherfucker, I decide. They can fuck with us if they won't. I bring them home side. Words to my.
That's it.
Okay. Now, you were also asked about terms of slat. Do you remember that?
I remember being asked about it.
And slime.
Yes.
Okay. Is to your knowledge, and blat, I think they asked you about blat. Do you know what I'm talking about?
Yes, I remember asking about it.
Are those terms in songs?
A lot of songs.
Okay, including Jeffrey songs?
Yeah.
And is it on social media as well? If you know, you personally observe.
I heard people saying on social media.
Okay. And you've heard people say it in the streets as you walk by?
Oh, I don't heard a lot of people say it.
Okay. It's part of the vernacular, that's a bad word, the vocabulary?
Yeah.
Anything by the use that you could tell the jury, your own observation of life, of the word slat, or blat, or slime, that means that someone's going to commit a violent crime?
Objection, Your Honor. Objection, unless it relates to this witness. It would be speculation, and it would invade the province of the jury with respect to committing a violent crime. And it would call for speculation outside of his own.
Sustained as to speculation, I think overruled as to that. I'm sustaining her objection.
Okay. All right, let me ask you this. When you were with Detective Dennis and Detective Gaither and District Attorney's Office representatives and your lawyer, March 3rd, 2017?
Yes.
Okay. Do you remember, after discussing all sorts of questions about Jeffrey Williams,
Yes.
and the police kept bringing up Jeffrey Williams?
Yes.
And then do you remember Detective Dennis saying to you, but even if Jeffrey's not involved directly, it's guilt by association? Do you remember that?
I don't exactly remember that, but
Okay.
it sounded like something to say.
All right. To your knowledge, to you, your personal, did Jeffrey ever promote any type of violence on behalf of a gang in any way?
I didn't hear the last part of the question. May I ask you to repeat
In
the
any
last
way?
part?
It's the last part, but I could
The
repeat the
middle
whole
part.
question.
Yeah.
Can you just repeat the
Sure.
question?
From your personal life, from your knowledge, did Jeffrey Williams ever ask for any violence to occur, as described in this entire questioning by the police, by the prosecutors and police here at trial?
No.
Vague, Your Honor. Objection,
I
vagueness.
couldn't be more specific.
Overruled.
No, I think I told him that it was on the air.
And you kind of went out. You said, I think I told them that. You're talking about who?
Yes. The police.
All right. And you're telling the jury.
Yes.
You mentioned that Nard brought a Draco weapon to Jeffrey's apartment on or around January 9th, 2015. Do you remember that testimony or that statement to the police?
Yes.
Anything, was Jeffrey there? Was the gun displayed in any violent manner?
No.
And you've been at Jeffrey's home without Jeffrey being there, right?
Yes.
Mr. Zachary. You were close with from 2015, and may still be, Mr. Garlington, true?
Yes,
And Mr. Garlington, to your knowledge, was extremely close to Mr. Copeland. Is that true?
yes,
And you, I know you said you weren't as close, but you were good with Mr. Copeland, right?
yes,
And the three of you would bond together, would be around each other a lot, true?
yes,
And you mentioned over a lot of times that before you went into custody, you spoke with Mr. Garlington about what he thought or wanted you to say. Do you remember that?
it ain't what he wanted to say, it's what he was telling me what Woody wanted him to say.
Okay. So, and you call that a play. You remember using that word?
Because he told me that Woody can't put him in some bull jump. That's what he told me. Woody had put him in some bull jump.
I couldn't hear you that time. I apologize.
Woody put him in some bull jump.
Would he put him in some bull jump?
Yes,
All right. So it went from, to your knowledge, through Mr. Garlington. Mr. Garlington told you this is what Mr. Copeland is doing, and then Mr. Garlington told you that.
yes,
All right. And that's what you were talking about when you said play to the
yes,
prosecutor. Nothing to do with Jeffrey Williams. True?
no.
All right. Your Honor, can I just have a moment?
You may.
Did Kenneth Copeland ever tell you, that's you and Kenneth Copeland, did he ever directly tell you where he was at the time that Donovan Thomas was shot?
No,
I already have questions. Thank you, Your Honor.
Thank you, Mr. Matthews. What's your decision? All right. Redirect.
Good morning, Mr. Zachary.
come on.
Mr. Zachary, just now, first of all, let me ask you, you testified earlier that you were cool with Thug, as you put it.
Yes,
And do you still consider yourself cool with Thug?
see, as life goes on, people change, you change. I haven't seen him in like 10 years.
Do you love him?
What do you mean by that?
Just that.
I don't love nobody.
Okay. Do you consider him a friend?
I told you, cool, yeah, right. Well, I ain't seen him in over 10 years, probably.
And you were asked on cross-examination by Mr. Sharp whether you saw Shannon in the courtroom. And you said you couldn't see anyone in the courtroom essentially, right?
Can I explain? Well, if y'all would have did y'all research with my health issues, it come with vision problem.
And that's what you said when Mr. Sharp asked you to, right?
Yes. I don't know if I said that, but I think I told him I can't see or something.
But you do know that Shannon is on trial in this case that you testified.
What you mean?
You do know that this case that you're here telling the jury about has to do with Shannon, who is on trial for this case, correct?
I know off what y'all gave me, like Of that, that was, I know, like, just really learned from the last few days or so.
The question is, do you know that Shannon is on trial right now in this case that you're testifying?
Yes, I know now, yes.
And you know that Yak is on trial right now,
I know now, yes,
and you know that Thug is on trial right now, right?
yes.
Excuse me, Miss Love, could you use the microphone,
I
please?
think, well, she's got the lapel mic, but I think you might need to pin it up closer to your mouth and we'll see if that works.
Okay,
Or
thank you.
turn it on.
Thank
Yes,
you.
that would also help.
All right, and you do know that Thug is on trial. You did say yes, correct?
Yes,
All right. Now, you also know that Moontoon already pled in this case, don't you?
I don't know that.
Okay. When you were asked on cross-examination by Mr. Steele just a moment ago about the play that you planned with Garlington, do you remember your answer?
I didn't plan nothing. He told me what Woody was trying to get him to run,
What Woody was trying to get him to run?
to say.
Okay. And do you know when it was that Mr. Garlington was expressing Woody was trying to get him to say that? Was he trying to get him to say that to the police?
Yes, he said he trying to get him to take to the police.
And was Garlington in jail or was he on the street when he told you what Woody was trying to get him to say?
See, I don't remember because we talked about something like that on the street and in jail. We was in the holding tank going before we went to court. We got locked up together.
Okay. And you talked on cross-examination with Mr. Shart about knowing something that Garlington had said about the April 28th shooting. And you talked with me on direct about some of the things you believed have been said about the April 28th shooting. Do you remember that?
Yes,
All right. And you said that Garlington had made Moontoon a shooter. Did I hear you right?
I don't think I say he made him a shooter.
Okay. What was it about what Garlington said about Moontoon that caused you to say something about other people?
Just off him putting him on the scene.
Okay. Now, isn't it true that Garlington simply said Moontoon was driving?
I don't know.
Did you believe that Garlington had said Moontoon was doing something else?
I don't know what he said he was doing. I just know you put him on the scene.
How did you know that he put him on the scene?
Because he told us,
Who told you?
Garlington.
And when you were telling the jury about having heard something in your preliminary hearing, what is it that you heard that affected what you told the police?
The detective was talking about all the shootings and stuff.
Which detectives were talking about all the shootings?
I don't know detectives, whatever detective was on that case.
But was it your preliminary hearing that you were listening to the detective talk about or someone else's?
It was mine.
And was it yours for the April 28th shooting?
No,
What was it yours for?
gun and gang charge.
Was that the May?
Maybe yes.
Okay. Now, do you remember all of the shootings that they talked about at that preliminary hearing?
I don't remember all. I just remember like my lawyer telling me stuff like when they go to the side, he'll say something. They'll say something. He'll tell me stuff like that.
And you mentioned your lawyer. Who was your lawyer at the time? It was Ricky Richardson still?
Yes,
And Ricky Richardson was your lawyer in both of the cases that the defense admitted defense exhibit
49 and Defense Exhibit 50, right?
Yes,
All right. And how long has Mr. Richardson been your lawyer?
all my life.
Now, since when?
We've
Was
been
he-
knowing him all our life.
You've been knowing him all your life?
Yes.
Okay, when did he start representing you in cases in court?
When I first started catching cases, I had caught so many cases back to back. I don't remember.
Were they when you were 15 or younger or older?
No. 18 and up, something like that.
18 and up?
Yeah.
All right. Is this before or after you got to know defendant Jeffrey Williams?
After.
Okay. And were these cases involving guns every time or something different each time?
Before them two cases,
No, when Mr. Richardson first started representing you.
guns.
Now, during that time, were you openly carrying guns? You said on direct that you always had a gun. Were you openly carrying guns?
What you mean by that?
When you caught these gun cases that Mr. Richardson represented you on, did you try to hide them when you carried them with you, or did you ever openly carry them?
When I got caught with them,
When you walked around with them, wherever it was you walked around?
I don't remember. I just know I always had guns.
Say that.
I don't remember. I just know I always got caught with guns.
Okay. You said on direct examination and on cross-examination with Mr. Sharp, I believe, that when you gave the 2017 proffer, that you didn't have a lawyer. Did I hear you right?
I didn't, but I knew Ricky when they called me up there. I never had no lawyer before that. But they called me up there. Ricky was up there. I was thinking he was my lawyer now, but come to find out when I got back, he wasn't.
Now, when you say you had never had a lawyer before that,
No, I'm saying I think from like 16, he had quit because I had called a federal case and went to the Fed. So he had quit because he didn't know how long I'm gonna build that and stuff.
okay, so Mr. Richardson represented you on all of your other cases except your federal case?
Yes.
All right. So Mr. Richardson, after you gave that proffer, he's the person who represented you in this case that I'm holding, which is Defense Exhibit 50, Defense Stillwell Exhibit 50, right?
No,
He wasn't?
no.
Who
I
represented
think
you?
for a minute he was.
Okay. Yeah. And who was it that represented you on this case?
I don't remember. I didn't know Ricky had when I played out, it wasn't Ricky no more.
All right. When you said he represented you for a little while, what part did he represent you on?
See, when I first got locked up, we had paid him, but he was like, it's too much going on with the case, everybody pointing blame at me or something like that, he was saying.
Mhm.
And my dad was just,
Got someone else?
yeah,
Did you talk with Mr. Richardson about the case?
huh.
Did you talk with Mr. Richardson about the case?
I don't remember if I talked to Ricky about the case.
And did the case involve someone getting shot or shot at?
Yes.
All right. Now I'm going to put on the screen for State's Exhibit, I'm sorry, Defense Stillwell Exhibit 49, the first paragraph
for the first count in that indictment that has been admitted. And what you pled guilty to and what you admitted your guilt in Defense Stillwell 49 was that on April 28, 2015, you unlawfully, while associated with a criminal street gang, participated in criminal gang activity through the commission of one of the following offenses: aggravated battery, aggravated assault, criminal damage to property in the first degree, and possession of a firearm during the commission of a felony. Is that, well,
Yeah,
I'm going to show it to you while we're getting our display set up. I need to read it to you.
Can I make fun?
No, I'm not. No, I'm not. Do, you don't want to look at it?
Yeah, you like.
What's the question?
The question was, isn't it true that you admitted that you committed the acts on April 28, 2015 of aggravated battery, aggravated assault, criminal damage to property in the first degree, and possession of a firearm during the commission of a felony while associated with a criminal street gang, and that you participated in criminal street gang activity through the commission of those acts?
Yes.
All right. And you said on cross-examination with Mr. Sharp that you refused to accept a plea with the state. Is that right, or did I hear that wrong?
No, you're that right.
Okay. Now, did that mean that you entered into what is called a non-negotiated plea? Like you didn't have any agreement when you went up and made this admission?
What I meant by that was that when they was trying to get me to testify on Mr. Sledge,
Uh-huh,
because he was still on the street,
uh-huh.
I ain't accept that. That's what I meant.
Okay, so this admission that you made wasn't in exchange for anything that the state gave you. You just went and put yourself at the mercy of the judge.
Yes.
All right. And when you made that admission at the mercy of the judge, you admitted that the gang you were committing these acts for was YSL, didn't you?
Yes.
All right. I'm going to ask you the same question about Defense Stillwell exhibit number 50. As we put that paragraph that you admitted to, or that you pled guilty to, on the screen. Now, in this case, Defense Stillwell exhibit 50, do you remember, if you can look at it and tell me who represented you in this particular case?
You have to tell me.
Who represented you?
Ricky at first, and then I said locked up so long that I don't remember. I just know at the end I ain't have Ricky.
Okay. All right, so did Ricky talk to you about this particular case?
He talked to the family or something like that.
Okay.
He probably talked on the phone about it. I don't
All
know.
right. And did he talk to you about what you were charged with?
I can't hear you.
You know, as an officer, it invades the province, I think.
Your Honor, and I think that by, on cross-examination, by saying certain things regarding what he knew and what was explained to him and what he understood, that the door was opened for the state to inquire generally whether or not he spoke with his attorney about what he was charged with. It goes to what he said his understanding of the indictment was.
I didn't do that. I don't know.
Your
what
Honor,
that was done.
I object to the commentary.
He's allowed to make objections.
So did you speak with your attorney about what you were charged with, what the state was alleging?
Yes,
All right. And so you knew then that you were admitting by pleading guilty that by shooting at the person in this indictment with Kelvin Treadwell, you were committing an act on behalf of YSL.
no, it never, in indictment, you read the whole indictment, description, whatever, it's never said nothing about YSL. You got YSL because of me, he was been around me.
So on the screen behind you, if you would, do you not, or does it not say, on the 5th day of September 2018, unlawfully while associated with a criminal street gang, YSL, you participated in criminal gang activity through the commission of one or more of the following offenses: aggravated assault, possession of a firearm during the commission of a felony, and possession of a firearm by a convicted felon.
Don't you say it said?
Ms. Levy said he can't read, so.
Mr. Zachary, do you remember when Mr. Steele showed you a book? Let me see. What book it is. Defendant Williams, number 19. He showed you this book and he turned to a page in this book and he put it in front of you and he asked you to look at it and to tell him what days you were on tour with Defendant Williams. Do you remember that?
I remember that, but see, I told him Chicago when he did like this. I said Chicago. I said, from what I know, it was Chicago when he did like this.
Okay. Before he did like this, were you looking at this book?
Counting days.
Okay. And when you were counting the days, were you also looking at the dates?
I was looking at the numbers. The numbers.
The numbers associated with the dates?
Let me see. Yes.
And in looking at the numbers, you notice that these dates only go from March 1st, 2015 to April 2nd, 2015.
I ain't look at all now.
Okay. Could you look at them and tell me if they do?
How am I know?
You said you were looking at the
I'm
numbers.
looking at the numbers.
So what were the numbers telling you?
They say 315.
Okay. Do you recall testifying earlier in this trial that you had read something in the newspaper?
No, I don't know that.
You don't remember that? Okay. When Mr. Steele asked you whether or not, or why it is that you said you did not want any medication when I asked you, you said to Mr. Steele because you felt like the state was going to kill you?
Yes.
Prior to coming to testify, you said you were not going to testify. Is that wrong or right?
I don't remember me ever saying that. If I did, I probably did.
Did you ever tell anyone that if you testified, you would get killed
because they are gang members?
No,
You did not.
no.
Okay. You testified with Mr. Steele and Mr. Sharp that you were going through Xanax and other drug withdrawals when you gave the August 2015 interview. Do I remember that correctly?
Yes.
All right. Would you please remind me of the other drugs that you said you were withdrawing from?
Rocks and oxycodone.
Does the withdrawal, is that the first time that you have ever suffered withdrawals from Roxy, oxycodone, and Xanax? I would like to know if he knows how withdrawal normally affects him personally.
Just in jail.
Okay,
And now,
was that the first time in August of 2015 that you went through withdrawal?
no,
Okay. Do you even know how many times you had gone through those withdrawals?
May 2015.
Okay. And when you went through those withdrawals, would you tell the jury how it affected your ability to communicate?
A lot.
How?
Like stomach, head.
Okay.
I'm up with the stomach. I've been telling you, I'm done with the pain right now.
Okay.
And the head hurt like. See, I keep grabbing my head,
Okay.
throwing up, but I ain't threw up because I ain't ate. I probably ain't ate in like 3 weeks.
Okay. Well, were you offered the ability to eat?
Yes.
Okay.
I just ain't got no.
And
I
when
ain't
you,
take my medicine.
and has anyone from the state tried to get you your medicine over the last 3 or 4 days?
You have this?
And did you believe that anybody from the state was going to kill you when we were trying to get you your medicine?
What you mean? Like at first when you asked me, did I want some medicine? Yes. First time.
Okay, so what changed between then and the time that the state tried to get you your medicine?
Cause I ended up going back to the hospital.
Okay. And was it the state that took you?
Yes.
Did we take you more than once?
Yes.
Did you believe that anyone from the state was going to kill you then?
No. I said at the time when you first.
Now, had anyone from the state threatened to kill you before then?
No.
Had I ever threatened you in any way?
Not. I don't. What you mean like threat? Like tell me you gonna kill me?
That's what you said. So had I ever threatened you like
No.
that?
Nah.
Okay. So Xanax and the other drug withdrawal that you had did not have any effect on your ability to hear questions being asked of you, did they?
What you mean?
When I just asked you the effect of the withdrawal on you, you said that it caused you to have stomach pains and headaches.
What questions? There was no question. You haven't asked me no question. I mean, I don't understand, man.
Okay. Xanax, oxycodone, and OxyContin. What were the three?
Xanax and oxycodone.
Xanax and oxycodone withdrawal has no effect on your ability to understand when questions are being asked. Do
Yes.
They do? Did they have an effect on your ability to understand questions that you were asked during your August 5th, 2015 interview with Detective Gaither and Dennis and later Thorpe and 2 federal agents?
What you mean like questions?
You remember being interviewed?
Yes, I'm saying like what you mean like did I understand the questions?
Yes, you remember being asked questions, don't you?
Yes, I remember.
And did the withdrawal symptoms that you had, did the withdrawal that you were going through, did it somehow make you not able to understand the questions that you were being asked?
Not that I remember now.
Okay. So you did understand the questions that you were asked.
Yes.
All right. And in fact, you volunteered information as well during those interviews, didn't you?
Yes.
And that interview in August of 2015, that interview lasted over 3 hours, didn't it?
Yeah, I don't think it was in the whole time, but yes.
Thank you. And you talked with detectives Gaither and Dennis for well over an hour.
Yes.
And during that time that you talked with detectives Gaither, Dennis, Thorpe, and the 2 federal agents, they sometimes asked you about matters that they had talked with you in the interview earlier, didn't they? In other words, if they talked with you when they first walked in the room about the shooting on April 28th, they might ask you about it
I
an
think so.
hour or so later.
I think so.
And they didn't always get their facts right when they asked you about it the second time, did they?
No, I don't think so.
And there were times, more than one time, that you actually had to correct them because they had it wrong about what you had said. Isn't that right?
Probably.
For instance, at one point, Detective Dennis asked you, talked to you later on in the interview about Nard telling you something at Doug's condo, and you said, no, Nard didn't talk about it that night. It wasn't until later on. Do you remember that?
Yes.
And at one point, Detective Dennis started to ask you, when was and didn't finish the question, but you finished it for him and said, you talking about the video, aren't you? Do you remember that?
Yes.
And Detective Dennis asked you what video, and you said to Detective Dennis, the video about Trevia. Remember?
Yes.
All right. You were asked by Mr. Steele about the January 6th occasion where Mr. Copeland or Woody was jumped on at Club Crucial. Do you remember?
It was January 6th.
Do you remember talking to Mr. Steele about a January 6th incident?
I don't know if it was January 6th. I remember he said something about we can jump on days before, something like that.
Okay. All right. So you remember talking to him about Woody getting jumped on days before
Yes.
Mr. Thomas got murdered?
Yes.
That was the date that you and Thug were in the club, right?
I remember us being in the club, but I don't know what day.
How many times in the week before Mr. Thomas got murdered do you know of Woody getting jumped at Club Crucial?
I don't remember how many times.
Was it more than one?
He probably got jumped one time. He probably got fined something. I don't know. No,
Okay.
I don't know.
Okay, and that's fine. If that's all you remember. So you only remember him getting jumped once.
But he stayed in some, so.
I only mean the stuff you know about. I get it.
Like I said, stuff you said in the club, he stayed in something in the clubs. So
The week before Donovan Thomas got murdered,
he stayed in something in the club.
do you personally know of more than one time when he got jumped?
Not jump.
Yes, jumped.
Oh, jump, no.
Okay. And when he got jumped, Bloody J was there too, right?
Yes.
And in fact, Bloody J got jumped on outside of the club, right?
I think so. I don't
Okay.
remember.
In fact, Shannon swung on Bloody J, didn't he?
Nah, I don't think so. I think it was Moontown.
You think it was Moontown? Yak swung on Bloody J too?
No.
Yak didn't swing on? But it was that day that you were at Club Crucial with Thug when everybody ran outside to get their guns to protect Thug because Thug was the money. Isn't that right? Previously, it's what the witness said. So,
Oh,
is that right?
They weren't running out there to get the guns for him. They just, because Woodoo was getting jumped on, so they just reaction.
Say that again now. They weren't.
If anybody ran out there, it wasn't to get no gun to protect him. It was because of whatever Woodoo had going on.
But didn't you tell the police in the August 5th, 2015 interview that that was when everybody jumped out, ran out to do, and then you were asked, what do you know? What do you mean? And you said they went to get the guns because Thug was the money. They were going to protect Thug.
I mean, it wasn't just because his money, just like I told you. If you want me to tell the truth, I'm telling you, it ain't. Because him, didn't nobody walk back to the door and get him.
Huh? Said,
Didn't nobody walk back to the door and then or back in the club to get him.
okay,
He walked on his own.
okay. And I understand that, but that is what you told the police, right?
Yes.
Okay. Now, when you told them Thug was the money, you meant Thug was the one that sort of gave money to you all, right?
You know, money like that, you better ask for some gas money or something. He ain't just giving you no money.
Okay. So what did you mean when you said they went out to get the guns to protect Thug because Thug was the money?
I meant as in, he ain't have security with him that night.
Did you mention anything about not having security with him that night?
No, but I know in my head.
Well, then why'd you say they got guns to protect Thug because Thug was the money?
Objection asked and answered.
I asked why.
oh.
Because why would you let him get into something if you know he ain't doing that?
One more time. What was
Because why
that?
would you let him get into something if you know he ain't on that?
And what was it that he would have been getting into? What do you mean?
Like after fighting, like back then, like 9 times out of 10, probably was a shooting came behind it, and bullets could hit anybody.
And so it was important to make sure that Thug didn't get hit with one, right?
It wasn't important to make sure he didn't get hit. It's like make sure you get to your car, okay? Like it's too much going on out here.
And when you were talking with Shannon's lawyer on cross, you were asked by Shannon's lawyer if you would have done anything to get out of jail during that August 5th, 2015 interview. Do you remember being asked that?
Yes.
And you told Shannon's lawyer that you went in there trying to give the police information on anybody. No, better yet, you said to tell lies on people to get yourself out of jail. You told Shannon's lawyer that, right?
I think it. I don't remember.
And you said you would have told a lie on anybody the police wanted you to talk about just to get yourself out of jail. Remember that?
Yes.
And you told Shannon's lawyer that you knew the police wanted to know about Shannon, so you told a lie on Shannon. Is that right?
Yes.
Okay. Now, you said on direct, And I believe on Cross that you also knew the police wanted to know about Thug, right?
Yes.
But you didn't say that Thug knew anything about Donovan Thomas's murder, did you?
No, I didn't.
So you didn't want to get out of jail bad enough to lie and say Thug shot Donovan Thomas, right?
Yes.
Yes, what?
I ain't. What? I don't understand that. They say it again.
You never told the police that Thug shot Donovan Thomas, right?
Yes. I never told them that.
But you believed that they wanted to know something bad about Thug, right?
Yes.
Knowing that they wanted to know something bad about Thug, you still didn't say, hey, you didn't lie on Thug and say Thug shot Donovan Thomas, correct?
I ain't. Yeah.
You told Shannon's lawyer you were facing how many years?
89, something like that. I think that was what you told me.
189 years in prison. Now, you didn't get 189 years, right?
No.
And in fact, the state offered you much less than 189 years, right?
Yes.
But you turned that down, didn't you?
Yes.
And you turned that down because you weren't going to testify against Montu, right?
Yes.
So for you, is it fair to say you'd rather spend 189 years in prison than to testify against any one of your friends?
As I had got older, yes.
Now, on direct, and I believe on cross, you mentioned that you went in there trying to protect Mooktoon on the August 5th, 2015 interview. Did I hear that right, or did I get that wrong?
Yeah.
Okay, got it right. All right. And on cross-examination with Thug's lawyer, you said that Woody was the one that had the problem with Kale. Did I get that right, or did I get that wrong?
You got it right.
Now, if you were trying to clear Moulton in the August 5th, 2015 interview with detectives Gaither and Dennis, would you please explain to the jury why you told Gaither and Dennis that Woody and Moulton shooting at Kale is what started the gang war?
Why did I tell them that?
Yes, sir.
Because I felt like it.
Okay. And if you were trying to protect Moulton, when you, as you told Shannon's lawyer, why did you tell the police that Moulton was always on go?
Because I felt like it.
Now, you were asked by Thug's lawyer about seeing Thug perform with Rich Holden Quan. Were those performances were before Nut got killed though, right?
No, when we went to Florida, I think I told him that he had a showdown now.
And was that when you went to Florida
going into New Year's 2015?
No.
It was after?
I think that was one time, but I'm saying like the next time we went after somebody got killed, he performed with.
And when you say you think it was after he got killed that they
I
performed?
know it was after he got killed
Uh-huh.
that he performed with him again.
All right. And when you say he performed with him, sometimes I know when people are performing, different acts come up. Describe what you mean when you say he performed with him. Did they sing the song on stage together?
They had songs together.
They sang them at the same time on
They had
stage?
Objection asked and answered.
They had to. They were together. It's a song, verse, hit verse, hit verse, hit verse, like that.
I'm just asking if you saw them appear on stage together. You personally saw it.
Yes, I was there.
Okay. So you were there and you saw it.
Objection asked and answered.
Did you personally see them perform on stage together?
Did I see them perform on stage together?
That's the question. At the
When?
same time, in the instant you described for the jury just a second ago.
I was at the show. I just
Okay.
told you that.
You were at the show. Did you see them personally perform on stage together?
I was back there when they performing. I don't remember.
Okay.
I was backstage though when they performing.
So is it fair to say you did not see them personally perform on stage
I
together?
can't say. I just know that when they went on stage, whatever they did, I was backstage. They went on there together.
Okay. Now, you also said you were present when in March, Thug called Rich Homie Quan on stage a derogatory name that rhymed with Rich Homie Quan.
I wasn't even like in March. I think that was that the tour. So I ain't even stay that many days, and I think I had saw that on Instagram. That was a lie.
Why did you tell the police that you were there? Because the police asked you how you know, and I'm going to use this horrible name and word because that's what you said. Didn't you tell the police that in March 2015, Thug called this gentleman, Rich Homie Quan, he used the name Bitch Homie Quan, on stage in public to talk about Rich Homie Quan?
I never heard him say that. It's not just something I just heard. I never heard him say it. Why did I tell him that? I don't know.
I'm just asking you, did I get it right? You did say that, right, to police?
Yes.
And in fact, you told the police that you were there personally and you saw it, right?
I couldn't have been there.
But did you tell them that?
Probably.
Now, did they ask you to tell them that?
I don't know.
Did they show you, or did you see surveillance footage from the night of Donovan Thomas's murder before the August 15th, 2015, interview that you had with police?
That's all I know.
Okay. Where else?
I don't know. I know news.
Just the news?
Yeah.
Okay. So you have no recollection of anybody showing you anything other than what you saw in the news. Fair? I'll let you think about it if you're interested.
I don't know.
Okay. Now tell the jury what you saw on the news.
I don't remember. I saw a car ride past you.
Okay, thank you. A car riding past you. Do you know that area, 330 McDaniel Street? And by no, I mean, have you
No.
seen it in the daytime?
No, I mean, yeah, I don't roll past before, but I don't know like the neighborhoods.
Would you call that neighborhood if gang territory?
That's really like, I don't know. It's really like Mechanicsville, really.
Did you know the barbershop and the Texaco to be places that if gang hung out?
I don't know. Like, no.
No? Did you tell the police that?
It's probably just something I made up. I don't went to that barbershop before I got a haircut.
I'm sorry?
I used to go to that barbershop to get a haircut.
Okay. So you would have had a way to know if gang people hung out at the barbershop then, right?
Yes.
All right. And you would have had a way to know whether they
I mean,
hung.
no. I don't know. No.
Okay.
I don't know what's my name yet. Or what they is.
Did you know? You knew that Nut was If Gang, didn't you?
Did I know that he was ill gang?
Yeah.
I mean, I knew he was some.
Now, do you remember, or did you have in your head, or did you know about all the details that Woody told Lil D before you went into the August 5th interview?
Did I know all the details?
Mhm.
I can't say I remember.
Now, do you remember which details in the August 5th, 2015 interview were shared or given to police as a result of anything you learned from Lil D?
I can't say I remember.
Do you remember whether you talked to Lil D about Summer getting shot at or shot towards at the Crystals?
Do I remember talking to the deal about it?
Yes.
Man, I talked to him about everything, so probably yeah.
And would that have been him telling you or you telling him?
They probably, because he was cool with, I was cool with it. Probably went either way.
Okay. Was there anything that Lil D told you to tell the police?
No.
Okay. And do you remember whether any of the three people that you were asked about on cross with respect to defendant Stillwell Exhibit 49, Demekion Garlington, or you called him Lil D as well? D Monkton, or you, did either one of you have dreadlocks on April 28, 2015?
No.
Have you worn your hair in dreadlocks anywhere in 2015?
Not, what you mean, like how long? Like I probably had
Like
Afro.
Jay-Z kind of dreadlocks?
No.
Okay. And Moontoon, anytime in 2015, was he wearing dreadlocks that looked kind of like Jay-Z's dreadlocks look now?
No. Most of it. I wasn't on dread.
Say that
I
again?
didn't want no dread.
He never wore dreads?
I ain't no song with no dread.
Did you ever see D with any dreads, Demekion?
No.
All right. On cross-examination, you told Shannon's lawyer that you, Moontoon, and D were the only people who participated in that drive-by on Adele
That's
Yeah.
the name on the street.
down on Martin Luther King.
Yeah.
Okay? You told them that, right?
Yes.
Is it fair to say that you have no idea what witnesses the police talked to about that shooting?
Yeah, I know.
Who do you know that they talked to?
I don't know, but it was like 30 something names or 15 names, something like that on our witness list.
Oh, okay, you got a witness list.
Yeah.
Is it fair to say you don't know what those witnesses told the police?
No.
You don't know, that's correct?
No.
Okay. Do you know what any of those witnesses told the police?
I know that they told me they wouldn't cooperate.
What now?
After I got locked up, I was locked up with some other people. They were telling us that people weren't going to trial on us and stuff like that.
Okay, what I'm asking you is, do you know what any of the witnesses told police the night that the shooting happened?
No,
Okay. You told Shannon's lawyer that there was only one car, but you told the police in August 2015 that there were two, correct?
what I supposed to tell them the truth?
I'm sorry.
What I supposed to tell them? I told them a lie.
Which one did you tell the lie to?
When it was a 2 car, I told the police.
Now, would you please explain to the jury what benefit you got from telling the police that there were 2 cars instead of 1?
See, at first, I was just panicking, wanting to get out of jail. But I told you, as I got older and started learning in jail, I ain't want no jail.
Oh, okay, I'm sorry. Explain that, I'm sorry.
When I was younger, that's when I told the police that. But as I got older and I was in jail and I was learning,
Uh-huh.
I ain't want no. When I was realizing, like, damn, I ain't want no deal.
You didn't want a deal.
Yeah, I ain't want no benefits off of it.
Okay. Now, does that fall for the 2019 case or the 2018 case?
18, I ain't
Yeah.
say nothing to no police.
Okay. You learned that it was better not to talk to the police?
Yeah.
All right. Because you'd have to testify against your friends if you got a deal?
No, it ain't just that. You put yourself in no trouble.
All right. Now, I understand that as you got older, you learned better about talking to the police, but in that August 5th, 2015 interview, would you tell the jury how telling the police there were 2 cars benefited you?
I thought it would have benefited me. I was just telling lies.
How would it have benefited you? That's all I'm asking.
Shit. I was making up stuff, putting people there. So they can take some of the blame off me.
You were asked by Shannon's lawyer about the number of shell casings on scene. Is it fair to say you have no idea how many shell casings were found on scene?
And I told them that.
Okay. And is it fair to say you have no idea, no personal knowledge, what types of shell casings were found on scene?
Yes, I know. I know, Miss Love. I got caught.
You know exactly what shell casing?
Sustained.
Go ahead.
I got caught with the gun.
Okay. My question to you is, do you know exactly the caliber and number of shell casings found on scene at that site?
Not all of them. I know what I got caught with.
And what about the apartments? I think Perry Homes. Is it fair to say you have no idea how many shell casings were found on scene?
I don't know how many.
Is it fair to say you don't even know all the different types of shell casings that were found on scene?
No. I just know what I got caught with.
Okay. So you don't know the types, you just know the gun you got caught with.
Yes.
All right. And any conclusion you drew about your gun matching shell casings on any scene came from what you heard in your preliminary hearing. Is that right?
It came from me knowing what I did.
Mm-hmm.
And about April 28th.
Mm-hmm.
And then about what they discussed with my lawyer in preliminary hearing. Yeah.
Okay. So is that a yes or no?
Yes.
Did you say that you only went to 2 of Thug's shows during the rodeo tour? Or did you say you went to more than 2?
I just know it was more than 2. It was more than 2.
Okay. Now, Thug wasn't the headliner on that, right?
No.
Was he, what was his role in that tour?
I don't know what role Rock will be doing. I don't
What, do you know when he performed? Like, was he like an opening act or a closing act?
know.
Did you watch either of the shows?
I told you most of the time I was helping out with stuff that needed to be done.
Okay.
Ms. Love, just scheduling wise, how much longer do you think you're gonna be?
Your Honor, maybe half an hour, and if the court thinks, I mean, it may go longer, so it may
Okay.
be a good time.
All right, would this be a good time to break for lunch?
Yes.
Okay. All right, let's all be back at. Let's shoot for 1:15.
All right, so you're.
Anything before we break?
No, you stay.
Okay, see y'all back at 1:15.
Thank you. Ms. Hilton, could you touch this off?
Nard, I believe.
All right, and you said you didn't need to play the sound.
Right, I don't, as I thought about the concern I was raising, I don't want to play the sound, I just need to play, I just want to play the video portion, and that's not something that I'd identified as an exhibit that we intended to introduce. So I wanted to alert the court that.
And this would be to establish that he does know a doo-wop. He's already said he knows Shannon and he does know a Nard.
No, that's not to
What-
establish
Okay,
that.
well, what's the
He's-
purpose of it?
He's writing on the pictures, he's spelling.
Okay. All right, is there gonna be any objection to that?
And if I could just get 1 second.
Just showing that without sound?
You know, what we're talking about. So the state's asking to play essentially like a 5-minute clip without the sound of him looking at the pictures, signing papers. Is that,
For now,
So,
well,
and is it gonna be, are you gonna be able to see what he's writing on
I'm gonna ask him questions about it, that's what, so you'll be able to see him writing and I'm gonna be asking him questions.
there? Okay. And this is to establish that he's lying when he says he can't read? Or what?
No, it's not to establish only that, it's to, I have a series of follow-up questions that I'll be asking. And if the court wants me to give everyone what my redirect is, I can go and.
I'm just trying to figure out. Okay, is there gonna be any objection to that?
The only thing I would say is my memory is that a photograph was already shown to Mr. Zachary of the person you're hearing, Nard. Demise McMullen is his name, but, and he said yes, and it says like 100% certain. I may not be perfect on that, but on that recording, on the document, it's already been shown. So if that's the same issue we're dealing with, if that's really the import, then I don't understand why that we're doing this again.
That's,
So again, what is it that you're trying to show through this? What's the purpose?
I'm showing that he knows how to, not only that he can read and write, but that he identified certain people by writing their names. He's spelling out their names.
Okay, well, you won't be able to hear him spelling out their names with the sound
I
off.
will be asking him about that. I mean, and I understand with the sound off, I don't understand. My concern is that I'm tendering a piece of evidence that is relevant to what was dealt with on cross-examination. On cross-examination, the witness was repeatedly asked about lying. I don't think there's an objection. I don't know that I heard an objection from Mr. Steele. I don't know what I'm responding to. So if the court could please clarify what I'm responding to so that I can.
I just don't, I'm not grasping the import of what we're doing. That's my concern. I'm saying part of it's cumulative because he was shown that same exact picture from the same date of Mr. McMullen or Nard. The other part, I just don't know why it's important to this trial at this time. I'm just trying to ask what the relevance is of this.
I'm not listening to it in real time, but I'm going off of my notes in the transcript. Like, if we're showing a silent aspect of a video to show that Mr. Zachary knows how to, I guess, read and write, he's also asking how to spell doo-wop in the transcript at least. So, and I believe that he's also asked for help in spelling the other things. So I don't know if that's going to give the jury an accurate portrayal of his mastery of, reading and writing.
I don't even know if that's what it's being offered for. I haven't gotten a clear answer on that.
I mean, I didn't know, I was trying to understand what objection I was responding to.
Relevance and cumulative.
Okay, so I haven't shown any pictures, any of this. I have asked him about the picture that he signed of Nard from the April 26th shooting out on Browns Mill Road. So I don't know if Mr. Steele missed the timestamp that I had, but I've not shown him that. I said that to the court, Nard is one of the people. The court asked me who are the people that he's identifying, and I said that Nard was one of the people.
It's Dewop, Shannon, and Nard, correct?
Duop, Shannon, and Nard are three of the people that he looks at. And I'm
Who
not even
else? I mean, I don't know what the timestamps are. Are there more than just those three?
Your Honor, I believe it's those three. There might have been one more, but the point that there may have been one more, Your Honor. But because I'm not playing the sound, I'm not putting before the jury. I'm not putting before the jury the names of the people that he's signing photographs of right now. I'm going to ask him, did you look at specific pictures, and what are you doing as you look at the pictures? And
What is he doing?
signing them
He's signing his name.
and writing their names.
And are we gonna be able to see from the video that he is writing their names? Because
Yes.
he may or may not answer what he's actually doing.
Yes, and Your Honor, I do have to, of course, the court knows I went through a very long process because I'm gonna have to now.
Well, you realize that there are plenty of people who can probably sign their names but not read and write, so that won't establish anything. And that if we don't hear the sound, it could very well be him writing the word D after somebody there says, the way you spell it is D-U-W-A-P. So,
That actually does happen.
I mean,
but that-
it's up to you, I guess,
And then-
if you think that establishes anything, but. So the purpose of it then would be to show that he can read and write?
That was one of them,
Okay,
Judge.
what other purpose?
To ask him the question of whether or not he was attempting to get people in trouble at the time that he did this. What was his reason? Why did he lie here?
Okay. All right, so that's relevant. Anything else?
I just wanted to bring that to the.
No, I mean, anything else before we get him back and the jury out? All right, let's go ahead and do that then. And you can get that queued up and.
You gotta keep it. Get a number. Please give it number.
Thank you. Go ahead, Ms. Lowell.
Thank you, Judge. Welcome back, Mr. Zachary. Would you please tell the jury if you recall being asked on cross-examination about a gun that you bought that you let Woody hold?
Yeah, I remember.
Mr. Zachary,
Yes, I remember.
thank you. Isn't it true that when you were talking about that gun, you were talking about a gun you let Woody hold because you owed one of Woody's friends some money?
I don't know.
Sustained.
Did you sell Woody a gun for $1,000? Is that what you remember talking to Mr. Shard about?
Subject of cross-examination either, Your Honor.
Your Honor.
Overruled.
I never sold him no gun. We went and bought it.
Say that again.
We went and bought it. I never sold him nothing.
Was that after Woody's girlfriend and child had been shot at?
I don't remember.
Do you remember testifying that Woody told you that a detective told him that he could have a gun?
I didn't say the tech. I think he said gang or something. I don't know.
Gang unit. Thank you. And do you know whether that conversation was had after Woody's girlfriend and baby were shot at?
I think so. I don't know.
Okay. And that was after January of 2015, right?
Woody's girlfriend got shot at a lot of times.
All right. This particular time that
When I
you
bought
got,
the gun,
yes, sir.
the houses were getting shot up.
Okay. Was that after Nut got killed?
I think like a week later. I don't know. It's somewhere early January, like
Early January? Okay.
middle. I don't know.
All right. And you were asked by Thug's lawyer whether at some point Thug stopped coming around Woody. Did I get that right?
I don't know.
Do you remember telling the police about needing to pay back money and you couldn't do it until you caught up with Thug and got some, but that Thug had stopped coming around Woody?
Me, I said that. I need some money from him. I didn't say that.
You never said you needed to get some money from Thug?
Not that I remember.
Okay. And do I have it correct that when you went into that interview, you had every intention, or you did not in any way want to hurt Thug because he's from Cleveland Avenue?
Not because he can clear down me, because I don't know. I just wanted to talking.
All right. But do you remember testifying earlier that you didn't say anything or want to say anything to get Thug in trouble because you didn't want to get people from Cleveland Avenue in trouble?
I said that.
Did you? Do you remember that?
No, my head hurts so bad.
Okay. I'll try to be quick. When you testified on cross-examination with Shannon's lawyer about lies that you told in the August 2015 interview, and when you told Thug's lawyer that the information that you spoke about came from what Copeland wanted Garlington to say, can you tell us whether or not you were trying to tell police what you understood Copeland to have already told the police?
I don't remember some of it. Some of it I remember from my preliminary hearing. Some of it I remember from my preliminary hearing.
Okay. When you talked about Woody stealing Nut's chain, was that from Copeland or from your preliminary hearing?
I already know about that.
Okay. And when you talked about Woody confronting Kel at the skating rink, was that from Copeland or your preliminary
I
hearing?
already knew about it.
Say that again.
I don't remember. I probably already know about it.
Okay. And do you remember Thug's lawyer asking you whether the If Gang rivalry with YSL began because of Woody?
I don't remember. I told you my head hurt so bad.
Okay.
All right, so you have the ability over lunch to have your pain medication
I'm
with you
allergic
and
to
to take.
Tylenol. I'm allergic to a lot of medicine. If y'all would have got
Uh,
all these records like y'all
And
should
we
have.
talked about you being able to get your prescription medication.
I ain't complaining. I'm still up here.
All right.
Do you remember telling the police that the rivalry between If Gang and YSL began roughly a month before Nut's death?
I don't know.
Do you remember when Thug's lawyer asked you about the post? They shoot at us, we don't tell. We shoot at them, they call the police.
I remember you gave me that.
Okay. Do you remember telling the police about that after saying that you had gotten shot at on Empire near Cleveland, and you didn't know it was If Gang until Thug and D started tweeting?
I don't know.
When you told the police, speaking about the lies, according to Mr. Shart, Shannon's lawyer, on cross-examination, when you told the police that Woody was waiting on Bloody J by the side of the church after Woody had gotten jumped 5 or 6 days before Nut's murder, was that a lie?
I don't know.
Do you remember whether that was something you got from Copeland or from your prelim?
I don't know.
And when you told the police that Motoon and Kel were beefing about Trivia, was that from your prelim or from Copeland?
Your Honor, I'm going to object to these subject matters. All this is beyond the scope of cross-examination.
Your Honor, I'm sorry. What Mr. Sharp asked was, and what Mr. Steele asked was, you lied continuously. And Mr. Weinstein, they brought up things that they alleged or asked this witness if he lied about. And they essentially said you lied about everything because you wanted to get yourself out of trouble. And you were just telling what Copeland told or what you had heard from prelim. So everything, when I'm asking him these questions, it's to confront him with things and to get clarification based on what he said in cross as to where this information came from.
Literally no one has argued that he lied about everything. And he has not testified that he lied about everything. I specifically brought his attention to certain things that he acknowledged he lied about. And now we are talking about things way outside the scope of that, and we're just redoing this whole thing again, and it's 403 and it's outside the scope of
Let's
cross.
narrow your questions to things that were asked about on cross, please.
Yes, Your Honor. When you were asked about whether all of the shootings you talked about had shell casings from guns that you owned, do you remember being asked about that?
I say guns that I was caught in possession of.
Okay, so you remember being asked about shell casings on crime scenes that matched guns you were in possession of,
That I got caught with, yes.
that you got caught. And one of those crime scenes was Lucci's mother's house, was it not?
I think so, yeah.
Okay. Now, when you told the police about being at Big Boo's grandma's house on the day Lucci's mother got shot, was that something you got from Woody or your prelim or somewhere else?
I don't know.
And when you told the police that Woody told Shannon and Pokey, let's go, right before Lucci's mom's house got shot up. Was that something you got from Copeland, your prelim, or else?
So I lied.
You lied? Okay. Where did that lie come from?
I don't know.
Now, when you told the police that after Shannon, Woody, and Pokey got back, someone made a call to Boo and said that they put $1,000 on the head of whoever shot up Lucci's mother's house. Where did that come from? Woody, a prelim, or something you remembered happening?
I don't remember.
And when you told the police that Woody looked scared, where did that information come from? Copeland, prelim, or somewhere
I
else?
don't remember.
And did you tell the police that after they got back, Shannon, Woody, and Pokey, did you tell the police whether you heard them say anything?
Your Honor, can we approach?
Yes.
Okay. When you were asked on cross-examination, specifically, Doug's lawyer asked you about the tour dates and what tours or what shows you went to when defendant Williams performed. Do you remember that?
Yes.
Do you remember him asking you whether you knew him, and by him, I mean Thug, in 2009?
Yes.
And you said that you did, correct?
Yes.
And do you remember him asking you whether or not defendant Williams was performing in 2009?
Yes.
And do you remember him asking you whether Mr. Williams was performing in 2010, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15?
Yes.
Do you remember him asking you whether you went to any of Mr. Williams' shows during those times?
Yes.
Do you see or do you have an independent memory of whether on May 13th, 2013, you were at one of defendant Williams' shows?
I don't know.
I'm asking you. If you don't, that's okay. You can say no. Okay. And do you know whether he was performing at either one of those shows that Mr. Steele asked you about on September 9th, 2013?
Do I know?
Correct.
If he had a show, he gonna perform.
Do you know whether he had a show on that date?
I don't know anything.
All right. Do you know if he had a show on September 11th, 2013?
I don't know.
Do you know if he had a show on January 6th, 2015?
I don't know.
Did he have a show on January 10th, 2015?
I do not remember.
Did he have a show on September 14th, 2017? To your knowledge?
I was locked up.
Okay. You remember Mr. Steele asking you whether you were still a fan of defendant Williams' music?
If I still listen to music, yes.
So did you follow whether or not he had any shows on these dates?
I was locked up.
Okay, so you didn't.
I'm away from the world.
All right. When you said on cross-examination that you got information from Garlington, who got it from Copeland, do you have any memory now of what parts of what you told the police came from
No.
Garlington?
No.
Did the information you gave them about Lucci's mother's house come from Copeland or from your prelim or from your being
I
there?
don't know.
You were asked by Mr. Steele about Thug giving you money. Do you recall telling the police about a time when all of you went to the mall and stuff and Thug had bought you all clothes?
I mean, I don't remember, but if we did, we went to the mall and he bought us clothes. We probably going somewhere.
How often did Thug buy you all clothes?
That the only time I remember.
Which time was that?
Whatever time y'all talking about,
And which time were you talking about?
I don't know. See, you keep saying like him buying y'all clothes, like you gotta think about it. I knew him before them, so like the clothes jumped in and like we grew up together.
Okay. So did he buy clothes for a lot of people around you?
I don't know. I just know what relationship that different people had. I don't know what relationship different people had.
Okay. And when you were asked about Defendant Williams' relationship with Rich Homie Quan by Thug's lawyer, did you hear Thug call Rich Homie Quan a bitch on any other day besides the time you told police about in March?
Did I hear it for myself?
Yes, on any other day.
No, I told you I think I heard it from like somebody.
And when did you first start hearing, either from yourself or someone else, Thug say disparaging or bad things about Rich Homie Quan?
I didn't even hear that. I don't be hearing like I've been locked up all this time. Like, I've been
So,
away from these folk. Like I don't remember nothing. I've been locked up 8 years. Like
but you weren't locked up in March of 2015, right?
I was sick in March of 15. We just said that earlier.
You were not locked up then, though, right?
No,
And you were not trying to hurt Thug when you went in to talk to the police, right?
man, I don't know.
Am I the only one you don't remember with?
No, it's just you keep asking me, and my mind ain't processing. Like you asking me stuff I already answered.
Okay. Do you need a moment? Do you need to take?
No, I'm okay. I'm just saying you asking me stuff I already answered. I keep telling you I don't know. If I remember, I tell you.
Okay.
I don't tell you I don't remember everything.
Okay. All right. Do you know whether it was Copeland, Garlington, or your prelim where you got the information you gave to police about Philo, D, Stewie, and Stag?
I don't know.
Do you remember whether it was Copeland, Garlington, your prelim, or your personal knowledge where you got the information about Thug driving a Corvette in the few days before Donovan Thomas was murdered?
I told you I knew he had a vet. I didn't say nothing about no. I don't know.
What did you start to say before? I don't
I knew
remember.
he had a vet car. I told y'all that already.
Okay.
I don't remember nothing else.
And was that a vet that he owned?
I don't know.
Do you know if he rented a Corvette in the days before Donovan Thomas was murdered?
I don't know. I don't know paperwork agreement.
Just stay.
All right. When you talked about going to Florida in a Sprinter van that had already been reserved with Mr. Steele on Cross, did you get the information from Copeland, Garlington, or your prelim that you went in that Sprinter van with Shannon, D, Woody, and Yak?
So you asked me how did I know who I went with?
I'm asking you whether when you told the police that, if that was something you got from somebody else or something that was true.
That was something that's true.
Okay. And when you told the police that the beef between YSL and If Gang started when Woody and Mooktoon shot Kale, was that something that was true, something you got from Copeland, Garlington, or your prelim?
I don't remember personally lied about.
And when you told the police that Shannon, Yak, Nard, and Duop were going to be Bushi on the night that Donovan Thomas was murdered, was that something that you got from Copeland, Garlington, your prelim, or Shannon?
I don't know.
Do you have any idea where you would have had access to that information other than Shannon?
No. What?
Other than Shannon.
Shannon ain't tell me that. What you talking about?
Okay. So
I told you Shannon didn't tell me that.
did you get it from Copeland?
I don't remember. I know for a fact Shannon didn't tell me that, and I told y'all that.
Okay. Why don't you remember whether you got it from Copeland, but know for a fact it didn't come from Shannon?
I know for a fact I told you that I didn't get it from Shannon.
Did you get it from Yak?
I know for a fact I told y'all if asked, I didn't get it from him.
Did you get it from Copeland, Garlington, your prelim, or somewhere else that on the way to meet Bushi, they fucked up and saw Nut? Who'd you get that from?
I don't know. I ain't probably get it from nobody. I don't know.
You think that was something you made up?
Probably. I don't
Objection,
know.
Your Honor, this is all beyond cross.
Judge, thank you. Now, when you told the police that after they fucked up and saw Nut, they rolled back around and started shooting at Nut, did you get that from Copeland, Garlington, the prelim, or somewhere else?
I don't know.
When you told the police that it was outside a barber shop that they saw Nut, was that from Copeland, Garlington, the prelim, or somewhere else?
I don't know.
Did you ever see Nut on the surveillance footage that you saw on TV?
I don't know.
And when you told the police that the barbershop and Texaco are places where If Gang members hang out, is that something you got from Copeland, Garlington, your prelim, or somewhere else?
I don't know.
When you told the police that Bentley took the guns to his spot on Oak Drive, was that something you got from Copeland, Demikion, your prelim, or somewhere else? You can. Thank you. when you told the police that Shannon and Yak told you, I just caught that in nut down bad, did you get that from Copeland, Garlington, your prelim, or somewhere else?
I lied.
Is that something now you're saying you made up entirely?
I already told y'all. Shannon and I ain't told me nothing.
Well, that's why I asked. Did you get it from Copeland, Garlington?
I said nobody ain't told me nothing.
And when you told the police that Shannon had a XB45, is that something you got from Copeland, Garlington, your prelim, or somewhere else?
Anybody told me nothing.
So did you make that up too?
I don't know.
And when you told the police that the 7.62 was Nard's gun, was that something you got from Copeland, as you're sitting here today testifying, is that something you got from Copeland, Garlington, your prelim, or somewhere else?
I don't know.
Right. When you told the police that Nard talked about the murder after Miami, is that something you got from Copeland, Garlington, your prelim, or somewhere else?
Something I lied about.
When you told the police that after seeing Woody staying on the couch acting worried, Nard said that nigga Woody gonna fold, he gonna tell on us about that nut situation, is that something you got from Copeland, Garlington, your prelim, or somewhere else?
So I lied.
Okay. And when you told the police that Thug asked them, do you remember talking about Thug acting normal on cross-examination with Thug's attorney?
What you mean?
Do you remember Mr. Steele asking you whether you testified that Thug was acting normal after?
Oh, he had that today.
Do you remember at any time him asking you that?
I think I do.
Okay. When you told the police that Thug asked Shannon, Yak, and Nard why they killed Nut, did you get that from Copeland, Garlington, your prelim, or somewhere else?
I told you and them 1,000 times I lied. And I said it. I told them years ago I lied. So it ain't nothing new.
Okay, so would you tell the jury whether that was something you just made up out of the thin air or?
I don't remember. I didn't know I lied.
Okay. Now, is it only the things about people who are on trial now that you know for a fact you lied about?
What you mean? I ain't never said about nobody else.
When you talk about what you do know and what you can't remember, is it only the information that you gave about Thug, Yak, and Shannon that you know for a fact you lied about?
Cause I lied. What you mean?
Okay.
I don't understand what you're saying. I know I told y'all years ago that I lied. And you know that.
And so, Mr. Zachary, all I'm asking is, in that August,
I lied then. I told them back then I lied.
and in August 2015, all I'm asking is, today is your testimony that the only people you lied about are Thug, Shannon, and Yak.
No, I lied about what they asked me about.
So you didn't lie about Woody getting jumped 5 or 6 days before Nut got killed. Did you?
Everybody knew he got jumped.
Did you lie when you told the police that you all believe that Woody shot up Lucci's studio on Metropolitan?
I don't know.
Did you lie when you told the police that Rock Crew and YSL were the same thing?
I don't know.
Sustained.
Do you remember Mr. Steele saying or asking you, isn't it true that no one ever confronted you in 2017 about the things you were saying in your proffer that were different than what you said in 2015? Do you remember that?
I remember it was-
Overruled.
Do you remember that?
I remember saying something about 2017.
Do you remember him asking you, isn't it true that no one ever confronted you about things that you were saying different in 2017 than what you had said in 2015?
That may have been not you, but a different, it was covered in cross. I'm not sure who asked. it.
Okay.
That was me.
Do, my apologies to everyone. Do you remember Shannon's attorney telling you you never were confronted in 2017 about things you said differently than what you did in 2015? Do you remember that?
I think he said something like that.
And do you remember agreeing with him? Yeah, nobody ever confronted me about things I said different.
I think he said, officer or somebody was in the
I'm sorry, what
Then
name?
he asked me why the officer or somebody didn't confront me or something. I don't know. Like he said something like that.
Was Mr. Richardson your lawyer or your friend in that interview? That
No, he was not my lawyer.
he was there on your behalf?
I don't know how he got there.
Okay.
So it later came out that he wasn't my lawyer though.
Isn't it true that you all were allowed to take breaks and that after at least one of those breaks, Detective Dennis came back and told you that you, or reminded you that you had said a lot more about the murder than in 2015 than you were doing now in 2017?
I don't know.
Isn't it true that after that point, Detective Dennis asked you about what you had told him in 2015 about Duop and Nard?
I don't know.
Isn't it true that at that point you said you had heard that they were involved, that is, Duop and Nard were involved? You had heard that from Copeland, and then you said, I meant Shannon. Isn't that true?
I don't know.
Isn't it true that after you told them that Shannon came to the apartment after the murder and told you about the murder, they pressed you on exactly what Shannon said to you?
You say, is it true that he told me? You asked me, I don't understand that question.
Isn't it true that during the 2017 interview, when you told the police and people with the DA's office, with Mr. Richardson present, that Shannon came to the apartment after the murder and told you something about the murder, you were asked what exactly Shannon said to you, and you said, I don't want to talk about it.
It was a lie.
Okay.
I don't know. I still understand.
You were pressed on what exactly Shannon told you in the 2017
I
interview.
don't understand what you're saying.
Isn't it true that when you said you were not pressed or you were not confronted with differences in your story, that what you said about not being confronted wasn't exactly accurate? In other words, when you said something different, the police did ask you, wait a minute, what about this? You said it
I
differently
don't
over here.
remember. You really had to
Okay.
show me for me to know. I don't know. But I don't think they confirmed me. Ricky had asked y'all 2 years ago, did y'all have a video he could see? Y'all told him no. Y'all told me it wasn't no interview, just transcripts.
Okay. And during that 2017 interview, when you were looking at pictures of Shannon and Duop and Nard, isn't it true that you signed your name and wrote Shannon's and Nard's and Duop's on their pictures?
I don't remember, probably did.
When you were asked about the Little Wayne bus shooting on cross-examination, is it your testimony today that you remember events that happened that night?
I don't know. Like, y'all been asking me all these questions, like, I don't know.
Do you remember telling detectives in the 2017 interview that people didn't need to get the gang's permission in order to carry out the Little Wayne bus shooting?
I don't remember it being said like that or something. I don't know.
Do you remember being asked on cross-examination about the Infinity that you were in, that you rode inside with Copeland?
I remember y'all saying something about
Hmm?
I remember somebody said something about it.
Do you remember, I believe it was Mr. Steele, if it was not, correct me if your memory is different. Do you remember Thug's lawyer asking you whether the information you got about that Infinity came only from Copeland?
Yes.
Do you remember today whether the information you got about that Infinity came only from Copeland?
Yes, I told us Woody told I never somebody else in the car, but Woody, he told me about the car.
Is there anything in particular about that that causes you to remember it as
It's
opposed
just
to other?
I remember the car because I remember we wrecked the car.
And was it Woody who told you that Thug's manager rented it?
Yes. I don't know. I don't remember. I didn't know Woody said Thug ran a car or something. I don't remember. told him I know something in that car. Though. I told him I know something. Nobody in the car but me.
You told the jury earlier that after a certain point that Thug stopped associating with Rudy. You said something like that on cross. Do you remember that?
I said you start coming around all them niggas too. It was so much going. I think I said that.
Do you remember specifically talking about Rudy and Thug not hanging around Rudy?
But yes, I said he had a lot going on.
Do you remember when that was that you remember Thug stopped hanging around Rudy?
I don't know.
Okay, generally speaking, would you say it was around May 2015?
Man, we was already locked up, man. I don't know.
So does that mean it probably happened before that or after that?
I don't remember. I just know I think Woody had got locked up summertime, so I don't remember.
Do you know whether Woody actually talked to Thug about getting his bond paid in June 2015?
June, I was locked up, so I don't know.
Okay, you were asked about Thug and Woody's relationship. I'm just asking you if you know anything about.
June, I was locked up. So
Okay, so that's a no.
I was locked up. I mean,
When you're locked up, does that keep you from getting information
Yes.
about other people that are locked up?
yes.
So were you locked up federally?
No,
Were you locked up in Fulton County?
yes.
So if you were locked up in Fulton County and Woody is locked up in Fulton County, do you all have the ability to talk to each other or do you not have access?
I was on different flow.
Okay. Does being on a different floor keep you from having access to other people or talking to other people in the jail?
Yes.
Just one moment. Do you not remember getting, speaking with Sledge from inside the jail or Moonton? Why?
Man, I don't think if I talked to him and he was on the street, I don't think I talked to him. I don't. What time you talking about?
While you were in the jail and he was in the jail?
Probably went to court. Yeah.
And what about Garlington? You remember getting communication from Garlington while you all were both in jail?
He and Garlington and Sledge was on the case together. We go to court together.
Okay. Are they the only people that you talked to while you were in the jail that were in the jail with you?
I don't know. Probably people in my dorm. I don't know.
What did you say?
People in the dorm, probably.
You were asked on cross-examination about a picture of Shannon taken the days or taken sometime before January 10th, 2015. Do you remember Mr. Steele asking you about it?
Sustained.
Do you remember being shown a photograph of Shannon standing in front of a window?
Yeah, I remember that picture. I remember that picture.
And do you have any independent knowledge of when or if that was placed on any social media sites?
I think I remember. I think I took that picture. I was
Okay.
thinking about it.
Just the
more.
picture though.
When I saw it, I remember the picture for some.
Did you post that on your social media site?
No.
Okay. Now, when you were asked on cross-examination about Antonio Sledge being drunk and Garlington being high and you being high on April 28th, 2015, were you telling the jury everything that you remembered about that night when you spoke with Shannon's attorney on cross-examination?
Did I what?
Is that all that you remember about that night on April 28th, as you sit here today? April 28th, 2015, that Moontoot was drunk.
Your Honor, I was gonna let it go, but I'm gonna object to the misstatement of the testimony. His testimony was not that. Mr. Sledge-
Sustained. Do you remember anything else about the night of April 28th that Mr. Sharp asked you about on cross-examination regarding Sledge being drunk?
I think I told him I don't know. I don't remember. I think I told him I was high myself, so I couldn't really tell.
And what does that type of high do to your ability to remember?
Xanax.
Okay. What does that do for you and for your ability to remember?
A lot. I might be on 3, 4 at a time.
And does that cause you to forget things?
Yes.
Okay. So if you remembered that it was only you, Sledge, and Garlington, at what point did the high wear off to allow you to remember that?
Because I remember who I got in the car with.
Do you know what Trontavia Stevens was doing during that time?
No.
You were asked whether you went to Arrowhead Pond with Copeland and Sledge. Do you remember that?
I remember telling him I didn't remember if she was with us.
Okay. Do you remember testifying on cross-examination that you wanted to convince Gaither and Dennis that you were telling the truth so that you could get out of jail?
But I remember, I don't know. I told her, asked me all these questions. I don't know.
Do you remember when you were shown a clip of Gaither coming into the room saying, y'all been calling me
Yeah.
and now I'm here? You remember that? Now, do you remember being asked whether you wanted to meet with Gaither so that you could get out of jail?
I remember me saying I ain't called him.
Uh-huh.
I'm saying that.
Do you remember saying you wanted to clear Sledge of the shooting?
I thought that was what I was doing, but I was told you I was young.
Did you lie when you told the police that the phone number they showed you was not yours?
I don't know.
You remember when you were asked on cross-examination whether you lied when you said you weren't involved in the April 28th shooting?
Who?
You remember when you said on cross that when you first sat down, you said, I wasn't involved. I didn't have nothing to do with that shooting.
I remember saying I lied. I don't understand what you're saying. You gotta ask it again.
Okay. You remember saying you lied in the August 5th, 2015 interview. Is that right?
Yes.
Did you lie when you told them
or confirm for them Demikion's phone number?
Your Honor, outside the scope of cross,
Did you lie when you told them that the phone number they had was not yours?
outside the scope of cross.
Do you remember when you told them when you first sat down, you were making stuff up as you were going on? You remember saying that on cross?
Yeah.
At what point did that change, if at all?
What you mean, did it change?
Well, you said at first I was making stuff up as I was
I
going
still was
on.
making stuff up.
Okay, so are you saying that you made stuff up throughout the whole interview on August 5th, 2015?
Made stuff up and said stuff that I had already heard. I told y'all that.
Okay. And when you said that you wanted to take the guns out of your hand and put them in someone else's hand, is that what you were trying to do throughout the August 5th interview? Just take guns out of your hand?
What?
Do you remember saying on cross?
I don't know.
Okay. By the time that you got to the 2017 interview, was your goal in that interview the same thing as your goal was in the 2015 interview?
It was my goal. Was it my goal?
Right.
I don't know.
Do you remember whether you went into the 2017 interview with the intent to tell stories on
I
people?
don't remember.
Well, do you
Did I
remember?
tell stories?
Uh-huh.
I told stories, yes. Lies.
All right. And was there any reason that you told for these particular lies that you claim you told? For what reason were you telling lies in 2017?
Because I had already told the lies before.
And so the lies you told in 2017 were because you had already told them? Is that what you're saying?
Objection, that's asked and answered.
You're not answering. Is that what you're saying?
What you mean? Like,
Why did you tell the lies you're not saying that you told in 2017?
'cause I lied. I don't know. I just know I lied. I don't get to saying that. I
And-
don't understand.
And the lies in 2015 that you told, did you tell them for any reason other than what you've already given to the jury?
What you mean?
The things that you said in the August 2015 interview that were not true. The reasons that you told them, even though they were not true. Are those reasons, have you told all of those reasons for telling those lies as you
I
put
don't
them
know, man.
to the
I
jury?
don't know.
Okay.
I don't know.
Just one second. You know, I think that that's all I have at this time. With this.
All right, Mr. Sharp. Mr. Weinstein. All right. I didn't hear what you said before.
Well, good afternoon. How are you doing? Your head hurt? You gonna be able to answer my questions?
I know him, yeah.
Can you lean forward just a little bit? Yeah, if you know them, that's all I'm asking, okay? So on redirect, Miss Love asked you a lot of questions about the sources of your lies, okay? The lies you told back in 2015 and 2017. So let's get into that a little bit, okay?
Okay.
Let's talk about the play that you testified to that you got from Garlington, okay? Remember the play?
I don't remember it.
That play you testified to that you got from Garlington, that was about the murder of Peanut, Donovan Thomas, right?
That's what, yeah.
Okay. And that play was something cooked up between Garlington and Woody, correct?
Objection, Your Honor, as to vagueness.
Sorry, I didn't hear your answer.
Yes.
Yes, the play was cooked up between Garlington and Woody,
Woody put Garlington in it. It was something Woody had.
something Woody had. And Woody came up with that play in order to take attention away from him.
Objection, Your Honor, calls for speculation.
Sustained.
You don't have to answer that question. But that was a scheme between them to come up with a story that you would use, correct? They planted that story with
Objection, Your
you.
Honor, ask and answer.
Sustained.
The story that they came up with, that they told you, that Garlington relayed to you, was about Shannon and Yak and Duop and Nard being involved in Nuts murder.
It was, I don't remember all the details, but it had something to do with them, y'all.
I'm sorry, I couldn't hear
I
that.
don't remember all the details, but it had something to do with it.
It had something to do with that, with the murder of
Yeah.
Peanut, with the murder of Donovan Thomas. Okay. And that story was intended to cover up Woody's involvement in that murder.
Objection, calls for speculation.
Sustained.
Did Garlington tell you why he was coming up with that story?
Why Woody was coming up with it?
Yeah.
It's just like Woody got him with some bullshit.
Objection, Your Honor, hearsay.
Sustained.
Well, Woody has been named, Your Honor, as an unindicted co-conspirator. It's a statement of a co-conspirator.
Your Honor, first of all, Your Honor, this is a whole, he's asking about Garlington. He's not asking about Woody. And if this is a matter that needs to be talked about, I don't think it's proper to do it in front of the jury.
Your question is about Garlington.
Yes. Okay. Okay. So the story you got from Garlington, that's the story that you ended up relaying to law enforcement, to Gaither and Dennis in
Objection.
2015.
Asked and answered.
Sustained.
You've been asked repeatedly by the attorney for the state, by Miss Love, how various lies that you told benefited you. You remember her asking you that just now?
Yes.
Okay. Well, you're sitting over here right now instead of over there. Is that correct?
Yes.
Do you think that that's a benefit to
Your
you?
Honor, objection.
Do you view that as a
Hang on,
benefit?
hang on.
Okay, I'm asking him if he
I
views that
know,
as
and
a
there's an
benefit.
objection on the floor, which I haven't been able to hear yet, so wait and let me
My
hear it. and
apologies,
move
Your
on.
Honor.
So objection as to misrepresentation, vagueness, when the question is, do you think it's a benefit to you that you're over there and not here as it relates to the interview in 2015 and 2017? I would ask for clarification about what it is that he was getting a benefit from.
Overruled.
Okay, I'll repeat that question to you. You view it as a benefit to you that those lies that you told in 2015 and 2017 put you in that witness stand instead of over there as a defendant.
Objection, relevance.
Overruled.
I didn't benefit off none of it.
You benefit off any of it? You'd rather be over there?
Objection, Your Honor, improper.
Sustained.
Are you a defendant in this case?
Objection, relevance.
It's directly relevant to his motivation. Are you a defendant in this case?
No,
Okay, thank you.
Mr. Steele. All right.
Very briefly, you were asked about what I call the rodeo tour, but I'm talking about March, April 2015.
yes,
Okay. Travis Scott and Jeffrey Williams or Young Thug are performing, right?
yes,
You were asked if Jeffrey was the headliner or was not the headliner. You remember that?
yes.
Headliner means what? Tell the jurors.
I don't know. Probably I think like the main. I don't know. I think like the main person or something.
Is it fair to say that Jeffrey or Young Thug by this time is a big attraction in music?
Objection asked, answered, and relevance.
Came up on recross.
I know, but given the objection sustained.
When you were there, if you saw the crowd, did Jeffrey and Travis
Objection,
Scott play
relevance to the
together? Is
crowd.
my question.
Say that again.
Yeah, when you saw the crowds at the rodeo tour, did Jeffrey and Travis Scott perform together?
Objection, Your Honor, relevance to
Sustained.
I think, okay, that's fine. All right. You said you were asked specifically, did Jeffrey buy clothing for a lot of people? Do you remember that question on recross examination?
Yes,
All right. Is it true that Jeffrey did buy clothing for people at the Cleveland Avenue Park?
I told like that was like it wasn't that new. Like everybody about like yeah.
Okay. And were you aware that Jeffrey did clothing drives all over the country?
objection, relevance.
It came up on
Sustained.
cross.
Doesn't mean it's relevant.
You were asked, and it was worded this way, that Jeffrey stopped hanging around with Woody. Remember those questions on recross?
Yes.
From your vantage point, were people always trying to be around Jeffrey?
Yeah.
Objection, Your Honor, vague and speculation. He can't.
Overruled.
Did Jeffrey allow people to take pictures with him
Objection, relevance.
when they
Sustained.
did, from your vantage point, did Mr. Copeland or Woody, did Jeffrey go to him in any way, or was Mr. Copeland trying to hang out with Jeffrey?
Objection, relevance beyond the scope of redirect.
It was on redirect.
Overruled.
Yeah, Copeland used to come around there.
You were asked again on redirect about a supposed tweet of, and I'm not quoting it, but something like, "We shoot at them and don't report, they shoot at us and report." I'm not saying that's a quote. Have you ever seen a tweet like that?
Objection, Your Honor, asked and answered on cross.
All right, Mr. Short, have you made a decision? Do you have any recross? All right. You are now free to go.
And cuts on my leg.
Yes, they'll take care of that. Call your next witness. Okay. Sure.
You don't need a bathroom break before we start the next witness.
Yes, no, is it, okay. Come.
We're actually gonna have you step back out. We're gonna take that recess. Thank you.
Your Honor, may the witness be sworn in?
Yes. Although not yet.
Yes, Your Honor.
Yes, sir. My name is Ricardo Leal. It's Ricardo. First name spelled Leal.
Good afternoon, Mr. Leal. How are you doing?
Good afternoon, sir.
Can you tell the jury where you work?
Yes, so I work for T-Mobile Corporation, which is a mobile phone carrier.
How long have you been with T-Mobile?
So I started with T-Mobile back in April of 2020. There was a merger that transpired on that date. Prior to that, I worked for Sprint Corporation, which was another telephone company. And so I worked with them, basically started with them in 2002.
Was the merger between Sprint and T-Mobile?
Yes.
What do you do for T-Mobile?
So I serve as a records custodian when subpoenaed. My job title is testifier. So basically, I authenticate records, explain records, how they're kept, in the normal course of business, do a lot of reviewing records, those types of things.
How many trials have you testified in?
So I've testified in over 450 in my tenure. I've been doing this part of my job for quite some time.
Do you travel across the country or do you have a specific region that you cover?
All throughout the United States and other places as well.
So what did you do, let me take a step back, before you began working with Sprint, before it merged with T-Mobile?
So when I worked at Sprint, I would have been an analyst, essentially. Subpoena analyst is what they called it. So my job function was to review legal demands, verify that legal demand, then send out the information that is being asked for through legal process. However, the requester was asking for it. So essentially, that's what I was doing for a number of years. And then I headed up a team that was an immediate response group that they could get their information sooner by paying a fee. And then I transitioned into the job that I'm currently doing. But at the time, it was with Sprint.
And would subpoenas from law enforcement agencies be one of the requests that you would review when you were an analyst?
Correct. That would be one of the formats. So subpoena, search warrant, court order, search warrant having the most available. They would be able to get the most information with the judge's signature. That's kind of how that process works.
What type of documents did you get familiar with as an analyst responding to those legal requests?
So mainly was call records pertaining to subscriber information, the call detail records,
which is the network information that could have other information like cell tower information, billing records. That's the main things that were being asked for. And still to this day, there are some other records that we have as well. But those are the main things. Later on as the progression became more prevalent, text information was being asked for, data, because your phones became user-friendly to be used as for search engines, those types of things for data. So those were often asked for too.
Can you differentiate the call detail records from the other records you described for the jury?
Sure, absolutely.
How would you describe or differentiate?
So the call records would show the calls that were taking place. It will have the different numbers. It will also depend on what type of call record. It will show duration time. It'll have dates. Also tower information if that was asked for. That information would be within the record. Also on the format, when we send the information out, it shows what is being asked for through the process. Like it gives exact accounts of the information that's being sent out.
Now, in working with Sprint, was it through experience or training that you became familiar with these records and what they contain?
So it was on the job training. And over time, I would be answering questions with whoever was asking for the information. So it took a lot of me trying to get understanding what I was looking at. And then over time, I had to learn the T-Mobile records as well, which was more of a formal training versus how I started at Sprint. It was a different time back in 2002. But yeah, quite a big difference between 2002 and 2020.
Fair enough. Can you describe for the jury what training you had to get familiar coming from Sprint with T-Mobile records?
So there was a training that happened. It was during COVID. Basically, it was several days of going through the formats of how the records are kept at T-Mobile and information that T-Mobile carries and how their information is kept in comparison to how the information is kept at Sprint. So there was kind of like a dual training going on where the T-Mobile folks were filling us in on their info and we were doing the same to them with the Sprint information, because two different networks, information being kept, all similar processes and everything, but the content was in different formats and it was kept differently according to time.
Now, you had mentioned subscriber information as documents that you sometimes have to discuss. Can you
Yes.
describe what is contained in Sprint or T-Mobile subscriber information records?
Generally speaking, the subscriber information would contain the account information with the account holder and or subscriber if the subscriber of the phone is different than the account holder. Basically, it would have identifying information if it was not a prepaid subscriber. If it's a postpaid subscriber, there's a verification process that takes place. And essentially, in that verification process, they're enabling the person that wants to subscribe to the phone to be able to get billed. And so they do a credit check. Unlike a postpaid subscriber, they would be paying up front, or a prepaid subscriber, pardon me, they would be paying up front. And so those are some of the differences, but the elements within the subscriber information could have other information like the type of account, the equipment or the handset number that is associated with the telephone number. It has other identifying information that's network information that also coincides with how the layout is for the subscriber. but those are some of the things. It was like activation dates, like when the account was activated, when the number was activated within that account, if it wasn't the only telephone number. There are accounts that have multiple numbers within a specific account. Does that make sense?
When you were just discussing prepaid versus post paid for subscriber,
Yeah.
how is the name created or chosen for prepaid versus post?
So with prepaid, there is be anything. So it could be what that person wants it to read. It's non-verified. So basically there's no verification process that takes place. If I wanted to open a phone and get my own phone, I could say, I wanted to say Donald Duck. That could be on there. So that's just the way it is. Because it's not verified, like postpaid subscriber, there's no credit check being run. They're not showing an ID or anything that has identifying information. There's no requirement. So that's how that works.
You've also mentioned, and we briefly discussed, call detail records. Are call detail records kept in the regular course of business with T-Mobile?
Yes, they are, and they're kept for billing purposes.
Is there any other purposes that, well, I'll ask another question. I'll
Sure.
come back to that. Is any of the information include cell site tower information?
Yes, that's part of the network information. And so the network information would include cell tower information as part of the things that were transpiring within the network prior to the billing process.
And with subscriber information data, with call detail record data, and cell site tower data, what are the various purposes or reasons why T-Mobile keeps those documents in the regular course of business?
So it's mandated that we keep this information by the FCC for a certain amount of time, but we have to be able to bill our customers. So that's why the network information, we keep that. From that, we would be able to ascertain the billable calls for each customer. And then they would be able to send that bill out. Now things are different with unlimited. Oftentimes there's not as much information that's being sent out because of that unlimited plans, but they still generate those because it's mandated by the FCC. It's also network optimization. They use the information that we have to be able to review if there's any disputes for calls that didn't take place or those types of things. That was more of a thing back when each call was being accounted for, right? You're getting numerous amounts of calls, extra fees, like those types of things. But those are two of the main reasons. And then the subscriber information is kept for a more lengthy period of time because to be able to see in a timeline the subscribers that had different numbers for an amount of time.
Now, before you came testifying here right now, did you and me meet and go over some documents?
Yes, we
Did that include any CDs or discs with information on them?
Yes, I reviewed a handful of discs as well as all the information within those discs.
And did you make any markings on those discs after you reviewed them?
I did on the outside envelope.
Now, Your Honor, I'm going to approach the witness with what has been marked as State's Exhibit 515 Yankee through 519 Yankee. And for both 515 through 520, there's a Yankee and a Yankee Alpha corresponding with each number. And so I'm also, Your Honor, approaching the witness with 520 Yankee through 522 Yankee. And for those last three, there is a 520 Yankee Alpha and a Yankee Romeo for those last three. I've handed the witness those exhibits. When you're done reviewing them, sir, just look up and let me know.
Okay.
What are those that I've asked you to look through?
So these are all requests that were sent out through legal process with Sprint or T-Mobile. So there's several of each, but it's mainly the disc and then subscriber information and some certifications within the packets.
Now, I'll start with 515 Yankee through 518 Yankee. Are those, or 515 Yankee, 516 Yankee, and 517 Yankee? Are those three Sprint?
Yes, they're all Sprint correspondence, so the records that were sent out through the Sprint process.
And are they a fair and accurate depiction of the subscriber call detail records and cell tower information for those corresponding records?
Yes.
Your Honor, at this time, the state will tender into evidence 515 Yankee, 515 Yankee Alpha, 516 Yankee, 516 Yankee Alpha, 517 Yankee, and 517 Yankee Alpha.
Those are another.
Now, sir, do you also have 518 Yankee, 519 Yankee before you?
Yes, I do.
And do they have a corresponding alpha that is printed?
Yes,
And are those T-Mobile records?
they are.
Are they a fair and accurate depiction of the subscriber information, call detail records, and corresponding cell site information for those T-Mobile records?
Yes, sir.
Your Honor, at this time, the state would tender into evidence State's Exhibit 518 Yankee, 518 Yankee Alpha, 519 Yankee, and 519 Yankee Alpha. Now, was there also, with the last documents, and by last, I mean 520 Yankee through 522 Yankee, and those three numbers have a corresponding Alpha and Romeo? Do you see those three, sir?
I do.
Did you and me also go through those documents?
Yes, we did.
Do those documents have a business record certification alongside them?
They do.
Your Honor, pursuant to the business record certification, the state would tender State's Exhibit 520 Yankee, 520 Yankee Alpha, 521 Yankee, 521 Yankee Alpha, and 522 Yankee, 522 Yankee Alpha into evidence, and the corresponding business record search for the record are the numbers of the Romeo. Thank you, Your Honor. Now, I want to start with, we're going to go in order, sir. So 515 Yankee, I wanted to talk about those first.
Okay.
And specifically, do you have before you a 515 Yankee Alpha?
Yes.
Can you tell the jury what 515 Yankee Alpha is to begin?
I will. So this is the response pages for the request. Basically has the information for the person that extracted, that was in charge of getting the information through the legal process within my group at Sprint. It has the date of the correspondence, as well as we generate a case number, but it has the person that requested the information, has their information on there as well. And then it begins with basically on page 2, the dates for the information, as well as the number for that specific request.
And Your Honor, I'm going to publish 515 Yankee Alpha for the jury. Now, Can you explain for the jury, what is this on the top left when it has a Sprint case number? What does that indicate?
So with every request that is received, a Sprint case number, or T-Mobile has the same type of thing, but a number is generated that correlates with that specific request. And so the case number is 2015, in this case, -032151. So you could look up the information that was sent. We would have a record of it. That's basically what that is.
And what is the phone number associated with 515 Yankee Alpha?
The phone number is 678-278-5991.
Now, what agency requested these records from Sprint?
It was the Atlanta Police Department.
And who specifically with the Atlanta Police Department requested these records?
It was Ari Bleifeld.
Now, I'm scrolling to page 2 of 515 Yankee Alpha. Who was this account? What person was the phone account name under?
It was under the name of Kenneth Copeland.
And what was the address associated with this phone record?
878 Oakland Drive Southwest, Atlanta, Georgia, 30310.
Now, what was the date range for this request?
It was January 1st, 2015 through February 6th of 2015.
What date was this account created?
So the account was established on October 29th of 2014.
Now, I wanted to ask you, if you turn to the third page, do you see a line titled equipment?
Yes.
Now, what is that? What does this tell you?
So it basically shows the equipment that's being utilized with the electronic serial number. And so each handset has a ESN or electronic serial number that correlates with that handset. The phone carriers keep track of that information. If there was a change, it would also show if a handset was activated or canceled for whatever reason. I get a new phone, it would show that information.
Now, are you able to tell if this is a pre or post-paid account? And so how?
Yes. So with Sprint, in the network access identifier, which is close to the top of the page, where it's just under where it says effective, it has the name of the subscriber, and it'll usually have a numeral next to it, and then it has at sprintpcs.com. When I see that, I know that it's a postpaid subscriber, it's a verified subscriber. If it was prepaid on the Sprint network, it would have something like, oftentimes it would be like Boost Mobile. Boost would show up instead of Sprint PCS, or Virgin Mobile. Those were some of the prepaid components of Sprint, unless it was with a reseller. And so if it was with a reseller, they would have the subscriber information if there was any on a postpaid or a prepaid subscriber. So a non-billed subscriber.
Now, sir, did you see, and I'm trying to show this on the screen for you as well, where it has features with a number of asterisks?
Yes.
Right above that, where it says effective 12/15/2014, and then it has expiration. Can you describe for the jury what that means? And
So basically that phone was effective. It was being utilized from December 15th, 2014 through the date searched. So for the entire date range, it was an effective active number, essentially, or phone.
Now I'm gonna scroll to, and before you see where it has request type in bold, then it has the date range.
Yes,
Is this the date range that corresponds with when these records were requested for?
that's correct.
And it was January 1st through February 6th of 2015.
Yes,
Now, the disc that before you, that's 515 Yankee,
yes,
is that the records that correspond with this subscriber information?
that is correct. It's all the information that was asked for outside of this subscriber information. Basically, the call detail records as well. They can be quite voluminous. So.
Now, I'm going to publish for you 515 Yankee.
Okay,
You let me know if you can see on the screen there.
I can see.
Now, is this what you and me reviewed before coming into court?
Yes.
And I wanted to walk through for the jury so they get what these contain. So this first Word document, what is this document?
So that's most likely it's the subscriber information, or it's the help aid to interpret the information. When we send it out, we send out a help aid, always with the records.
I meant for it to, give me 1 second. I thought it would publish on the version, but it did not. Can you see it now?
Yes.
What is this document?
This is the help aid, or the keys to understanding. And so basically it would break down all the information that is being received as far as the call detail reports.
And if I want to, do you see this column where it says cell sites?
Yes.
Can you describe for the jury what does this information and why is it included in these type of requests?
Sure. So basically it's highlighting all the different switch information for all the switches that are kept throughout the United States, as well as the identifying information. So it's called a network identifier. All that information is part of the record. So basically this is an overview of all the towers in the United States. But for the specific record that you look at, as far as detail record, depending on where that phone's operating, it would have those specific network element IDs for that area. And so with Sprint, you would have a list that coincides with it. And then you would be able to determine the latitude and longitude for that specific tower that works in conjunction with the switch. So basically, a switch conducts the switch to happen from one telephone number to another telephone number. 100 years ago, it was an operator. It was a person that would physically switch a phone to get to its destination. With the network, it's a system. And so it does the switching in the system. That's pretty much how that works. But we give you the overview of all the towers, so you can be able to identify the information, as well as inside of this information, it kind of explains the different nuances of the towers as well, and how they're set up.
Now, for example, with the records that T-Mobile, or in this case Sprint at the time, would send back, if the law enforcement agency asked for phone records for 30 days and someone traveled to 10 different states, would the records from that be different or not different in relation to the cell site tower you're talking about for someone who stayed in one state? Their phone stayed in one state.
Right. So anytime there's movement, you're going out of state, the switch would also be typically in the other state as well. So that's kind of how that works. There's switches all throughout the United States, and then for every switch, there's several, could be 100 or more towers that are associated, probably more than 100 with each specific switch, just depending on the population density. And so I'm just going to give you an example. If I was on my phone and I left Georgia and I went north to New York and I had been using my phone the entire time on calls or whatever while I'm driving through my sync, of course. But anyways, every time you get on a call, it would then have the network information that would correlate with the switch and towers that are in those specific states that you're traveling to.
Now, I want to go back to what's contained in 515 Yankee. So do you see how there's 3 Excel spreadsheets?
Yes.
I'm going to open these and walk through them with you, starting from top to bottom. Now, when you were just describing the different tower information that would come back from a request, what is this Excel spreadsheet that's contained within 515 Yankee?
So this is the NEID list or the switch information. And basically it's a list on the record. It would have the identifying information and you would have to refer to this list to be able to plot the latitude and longitude. So with the Sprint records, you have to look up the list and then you would use the cell ID number to locate the latitude and longitude for each specific sector of a tower, essentially.
Now, what you see this Excel titled NEID 207?
Yes.
What does that mean, and what is after that title of this document?
Sure. So it's network element ID, and then it's the name of that NEID, which is 207. And then it shows where that switch is, Miami. Typically, it's going to be where that switch is operating. It's the name of the list.
Now, I want to show you, I'm going to open up another Excel that was in 515 Yankee. I want you to describe for the jury. Let me know when this pops up. Do you see that, sir?
I do.
What switch location is this Excel spreadsheet associated with 515 Yankee?
So this one's Atlanta. It's number 176. So it's network element ID 176.
Now, finally, I'm going to publish the last Excel spreadsheet in 550 and ask you some questions about it.
Okay.
And while I'm pulling that up, you know how on the subscriber sheet it said status A? What does that mean on the different lines of the subscriber information page when it has status A?
It's active And so if there was a cancellation, it would say status C.
What process goes into deactivating an account from the subscribers in these records that we're discussing?